Our education systems are facing unprecedented challenges. Complex systems can run broken, but only for so long. When too many pressures arrive at once, catastrophic failures often occur. Our students and the educators who work so hard to support them understand that the status quo cannot hold. A trifecta of forces brings us to a critical moment. 1. The outdated design of our secondary education system. 2. Unprecedented challenges from 7 major forces. And 3. A system strained to the point of significant risk. Every system is perfectly designed to get the results it gets. The initial design of our schools becomes especially problematic when unintended consequences and current needs outstrip it. Our current system, designed in 1894 by 10 middle-aged white men, was built to prepare predominantly white male students through a course of academic studies for college and life in the late 19th century. Separate but equal was the law of the land, and horse-drawn streetcars were the main form of public transportation. Then, in 1906, the Carnegie Unit equated time spent receiving instruction with learning. But students today come to us with significantly more challenges, while needing to prepare for a far more dynamic, changing, and complex world. 7 major forces are also converging and intensifying to create a perfect storm of unprecedented challenges. The first is California's shrinking population due to falling birth rates, slowing immigration, and record levels of out-of-state migration. And by 2050, the number of people over 80 will triple. What do these signals suggest as we imagine possible futures impacted by this? What could this mean when declining enrollment drives widespread school closures and budget cuts? We see increased labor and community unrest. We see an increased burden on families. We see decreased tax base and a decline in revenue to support public education. The second major force is ideological divisions coupled with a youth mental health crisis. Schools have become the front line for complex, high-stakes social issues, and as a result, far too often we see our youth, frustrated by their experience at school, turn away and disengage. We see schools struggling to meet mental health needs as 1 in 3 teens now report suffering from anxiety and depression. The third force is resource scarcity and inequity. Compared with other states, California falls near the bottom in school spending relative to the total wealth it generates. Ranked in the bottom third in per-pupil funding for decades, California now only slightly exceeds the national average and invests approximately half as much as states like New York. Chronic underfunding has left its mark, and budget cuts leave schools without sufficient resources, force larger class sizes, and deprive students of the adults they need to thrive. Fourth is regulatory constraints and requirements, which are ever more complex, numerous, and too often punitive. In 1943, the Ed Code had 24 articles, and today it has more than 1,260. Complex regulations, compliance systems, and federal funding requirements signal a future of suppressed innovation and only small-scale redesign, a far cry from the comprehensive systems innovation needed. Number 5 in the list of perfect storm forces is advances in technology. In the late 18th century, water and steam power mechanized production. It was 120 years before the next industrial revolution used electricity to create mass production. And just 70 years later, computers automated mass production, followed by the connectivity the internet brought to the world. This brings us, less than 30 years later, to the current revolutionary era of AI, with all its promise, risks, and challenges. Technological advancement is exponential. Educational innovation is not, and that's a significant problem. How fast is the next industrial revolution coming? How can we design a future that adequately prepares our students to navigate our complex world? And sixth is pandemic inequities. Students suffered during the pandemic, but though we were all in the same storm, we were not all in the same boat. Once again, inequities for the most disadvantaged students compound. And finally, number 7, Natural forces. Climate change has an increasingly direct impact on schools' ability to serve students effectively. How can we better plan for this future and equip our students to be resilient and successful? California's schools are a complex system which has evolved from its initial design through a patchworked attempt to respond to changing realities and crises. For years, educators have done incredible things to make an outdated system work. However, when many small system failures occur at the same time, it creates an increased probability for the entire system to collapse. The core districts fear our systems are currently facing this outcome as we try to navigate this perfect storm. Our education systems were simply not designed to do what is being asked of them today, and at the same time, they are perfectly designed to get the results that they are getting. What will it take to get out ahead of what is coming? We are the ones we've been waiting for. The 9 core districts are uniquely positioned to design a new system that our students need and want. Decades of reform have taught us this needed change cannot be done quickly or forced. It must engage the entire system and center those closest to the issues, our students and teachers. So, in partnership with national education leaders, we are launching Core Schools, a 10-year commitment to locally designing secondary education systems grounded in the needs of each individual community.